before 7, and I have a few announcements, but by the time it's 7 o'clock, I'm sure we can call the meeting to order. Tonight's meeting is being held face-to-face for our first regular board meeting for June 9th for the reorganization and educational meeting. Tonight's meeting with the board members here present in the Doolin room, the cabinet members are also present and we're adhering to social distance guidelines. The meeting is also being live streamed and is available for viewing in the adjacent conference room here in Doolin or on the district YouTube channel. Please clearly tonight at the table speak as clearly as possible. If you want to remove your mask when you're speaking and put it back on, that would be appreciated. We would also encourage you to speak as slow as possible because we are going to be doing closed captioning. And it's a lot more accurate if you speak slowly into the microphone. Use your microphone as possible, otherwise the video will not be able to pick that up. So that's the end of our announcements, and I welcome you all, and at this point I call the meeting to order, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this point, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Ms. Youngers?
Here.
Ms. Wardy? Here. Ms. Reinhardt? Here. Mr. Stone?
Here. Here.
Dr. Ward?
Here.
Ms. Kalk?
Here. At this point, I'd also like to announce on behalf of our public that at every business meeting, we have public comment time. So our next meeting on June 23rd will be a meeting in which we will accept those public comments. Individuals may that attend the meeting in person may fill out a request to address the board and then speak during the designated public comment period. If the public, however, does not feel comfortable in coming, they can use the Let's Talk feature and post their question to the district and to the board, and comments will be taken, read by the individuals on the board, and we will respond after that public comment period. Please submit your comments by the end of day on Friday prior to the meeting. We want to ensure that everyone is comfortable attending in person if they would like to, still has an opportunity to participate, and if you are not, that they can participate otherwise through Let's Talk. I would now request for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Younger, seconded by Dr. Ward. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Youngers, a second by Dr. Ward for the consent agenda. There are 8 items on the consent agenda, several on Summer Academy, several contracts regarding our resource officers, and several regarding bids, contracts, and consultants for construction. Is there any discussion or questions regarding the consent agenda? With a motion and second, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And opposed, same sign. And the consent agenda is passed. At this point, I'd like to invite our Secretary, Peggy Cole, to certify the election results from June 2nd, 2020.
We received official election results from Clay County and Platte County both, and based on those results, Mr. Stone and Ms. Gleason Miller will serve on the Board of Education. Also, question 1, whether to issue general obligation bonds of the district, was approved by 78.7%.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for approval of the election results as read.
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Youngers and seconded by Mr. Harrell. All those in favor of approval of the results, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And the results are approved. I just want, excuse me, I just want to take a minute to express our great appreciation to the voters in the community for making the extra effort to vote on June 2nd, either present or in absentee. It was a very important vote for our district, and we really appreciate the consideration and confidence the vote showed in support of our students and the district. There were quite a few individuals on the community committee that helped with this. Specifically, though, I'd like to thank Brian Mercer and Carol Suter, who served as co-chairs, Jane Brown as treasurer, and then the many other individuals that persisted through a very, very long bond campaign to support the district. We really, really appreciate that. The excitement begins tonight with that passage as we begin to do some planning and start to hear more about what's ahead of us this summer and through the next 3 years, but particularly centering on improvements to our buildings, bringing equity across the district, and also addressing our student growth. It's very exciting for our youngest citizens in this community, as our preschoolers will benefit with 3- and 4-year-olds in a new early childhood center as a result of the votes of the people. I certainly do congratulate our new board member, returning board member, and also all those that ran and expressed their great interest and love for our district by choosing to serve as a leader in our district. So thank you very much. At this point, then, I would like to move forward and in recognition of board members' service, specifically to recognize Dixie Youngers for her 8 very active years in this district and serving on this Board of Education. So I know that it is our tradition to share a few words by other members, and I would like to give my colleagues an opportunity to say a few words to you. Would you like to start, Judy?
Well, Dixie, I've appreciated the 4 years that I've had with you. I've known you longer than that. I encountered you at North Kansas City High School as your children went through, your daughters went through the high school. You have been such a strong advocate for students and programs in this district. And this board is going to miss your expertise and your eagerness and the time that you put into not only to the students, but the activities and support that you give to every school in this district. So thank you, Dixie.
Thank you very much.
I love your passion for this district and your enthusiasm, and I don't know where you get all your energy from. I really don't. It's exhausting. But it has been really great knowing you the last couple of years and sharing this adventure together. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dixie, thank you. There is no doubt about your commitment. There's no doubt about your passion. There's no doubt about your level of energy. You've been steadfast in supporting our PAGS programs, our gifted programs, our music programs, a lot of our co-curricular programs, and dedicated to seeing to it that we indeed do serve every student. And so your commitment of time and your passion will be missed.
Thank you.
Dixie, again, I'm going to have to echo many of the things that have just been said. But again, thank you very much for your 8 years of service. It's been so fun to kind of follow you during the last 8 years, and specifically the years that your daughters were in school. I know that they're very active at North Kansas City High School, specifically in the IB program, and not only for all of our programs, but you were certainly a strong advocate, again, for our gifted and for our IB programs, specifically as your daughters went through that. So again, thank you very much. Don't be a stranger. Please stay connected with us, and but again, thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dixie, I think I've been on the board with you 7 out of the 8 years, if not all 8. But in addition to echoing the comments of my colleagues, there's a couple of things that come to my mind. And one is just your persistence in pursuing your desire to work for our students. I can't remember if there was a time where you had to run 2 years in a row, and you stuck with it, knocked on doors, and made it happen. In addition to the other thoughts about your support of specific programs, one of the things that I observed as a fellow member was you always came prepared around issues with questions that you had thought about prior to the meeting. And I caught myself a lot of times saying, wish I'd have thought of that, asked that question. You kind of looked at it from a different angle, and boards need different angles in order to function well. So your commitment and service, I appreciate it very much, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to also say a few words specifically, echoing some of others. You've always been prepared and an active learner serving on this board, and brought enthusiasm into the community about the district. You were such a loyal advocate for the district, bringing a lot of two-way communication back and forth, and I feel like that was really a strength that you brought to this board. You always worked hard to be a voice of students and parents in the district. And I brought a part of a letter that one of our patrons wrote to you the night of election. And in our work, I think the patrons perhaps provide some of the best feedback that we have. And certainly it was a strong letter. Please let me read a little part of it. It says, "You've had a lasting impact and you will be missed by the community of students, parents, and staff across the district. Your leadership was instrumental in making North Kansas City Schools a district of choice for families like ours in the metropolitan area. We moved into the district in 2017 so that our 3 daughters could attend North Kansas City schools, and we've been so impressed by the quality of education thus far. I want to express my appreciation, particularly in your advocacy and championing gifted education and your long-standing support of the organizations that serve the gifted children." So I think that's the highest praise. So I wanted to lift that up. And again, thank you. It's been my personal pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you.
At this point, I have few things for you. You want to say something?
I just wanted to say it's been an honor and a privilege to serve. That's it. With the mask, it's pretty hard to say much more.
We have a special little presentation of a picture for you with some very demonstrative pictures of places that you've made a difference and things that you've cared about while you've been in the district. And we hope that you treasure this and that it represents your hard work.
I will. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And generally, we would shake hands and hug, but
I
sorry.
know.
We can stay
No
in.
hugging. An invite? Sure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Good luck, Jerry.
Find my place again. At this point, is the certification of election results with this adjournment and sine die and reorganization of the board. So at this point, I turn the board over to Dr. Clements to proceed with the actions of the.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask that Ms. Cole would serve or administer the oath of office to Carrie Gleason and Perry Stone.
You'll just repeat after me. That would be great. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
We solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties of school director
perform the duties of school director
in and for North Kansas City School District,
in and for North Kansas School District,
County of Clay,
County of Clay,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability according to law.
to the best of my ability according to law.
Thank you. Here, you can. Sign this before you leave and give it back to me. That'd be great.
Okay, we're ready to move on to 6.02, election of board president. At this time, in this portion of the meeting, as to which the board reorganizes, the floor is open for nominations of office of president.
I nominate Jan Kauk for president.
Are there any other nominations for president? All in favor of the first nominee, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Okay. Congratulations, President Cowell.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6.03, election of board vice president. I'll take nominations for the office of vice president.
I nominate Paul Harrell for vice president.
Paul Harrell. Is there any other nominations for vice president? All in favor, please signify by saying yay.
Yay?
Yay.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Harrell. And at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our board president.
Thank you. I'm honored to serve. I appreciate that. Moving to new business, we have the election of our board secretary. I would accept nominations for the secretary.
I nominate Peggy Cole.
Are there other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Peggy, thank you very much for continuing to serve as our board secretary and clerk. Now would take nominations for the treasurer, office of treasurer.
I would like to nominate Dr. Terry Ward for treasurer.
Are there other nominations for treasurer? Hearing none, all those in favor of the nomination of Dr. Terry Ward for treasurer say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same. Motion carried. Congratulations, Dr. Ward. Now we're to the election of 3 MSBA delegates and 1 alternate. I would accept nominations for those delegates, please.
I would nominate Terry Stone.
Other nominations?
I nominate Jan Kauk.
I nominate Dr. Ward.
Gary Gleason as the alternate. Gleason Miller. Are there any other nominations? At this point, we will close the nominations and ask for those in favor of the nominations as presented. Mr. Terry Stone, Jan Kauk, Terry Ward, and Carrie Gleason as alternate. Say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Motion is carried and our nominations are complete and approved. Thank you very much, officers and delegates, and it'll be a great year. We will continue to move forward. All right, moving to the board and superintendent reports and discussions. We have a hiring update by Dr. Gaddy.
Good evening. I would like to start by saying we worked about changing our hiring practices as we rolled into January. And we were strumming right along. We were getting a lot of our candidates in front of our principals, assistant principals, and making a lot of screenings. And I felt like we were doing really well and ahead of the curve. And then March 13th happened, and we kind of hit that wall. I would like to say we bounced back really well. We continued all of our screening practices through the Human Resources Office, and then we're able to continue to supply our principals with the best candidates possible. And as of 4:30 today, we have 4 vacancies left. 2 of them are teaching and learning coaches that were created by vacancies of promotions to current TLCs. We have 1 early childhood behavior specialist and a library media specialist that I've been told I will have a recommendation to hire tomorrow morning. We're waiting on last references. So again, we've moved along very well. We've had a total of 12 administrator hires. 4 of those have been external hires, 8 internal. We've had 142 new certificated staff members and 30 individuals that have transferred into a new role for the upcoming school year. Right now, we have put a hold on all of our classified hires. We're waiting to look at those start dates to make sure we have a little bit more information as we get closer to those start dates, but watching those very mindfully to make sure we give our hiring managers plenty of time to get those folks in place once we're ready to bring kids back to classrooms and have those there. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding our hiring practices.
Mostly a comment. I don't remember ever hearing this report and not hearing the word special ed and not hearing the word math and not hearing the word science. So kudos, congratulations, well done. Amazing.
We worked really hard for that. My 4:30 hire was our last special education hire. Knock on wood. I anticipated that question for you, and I was so hopeful that we were able to get it. So 4:30 when I made that call and they accepted, I was happy to mark that one off my list.
Fabulous. Well, I'm glad I didn't disappoint you. We've struggled for years with the mix of hires and trying to hire people of color above the rate of graduation and to enhance our population of non-white employees. How'd we do?
It's a goal that we're going to continue to work on. I don't have specific numbers of that just yet for you, but again, we're making progress with that every day. It's my major goal. I would also say that due to COVID, some of our external diversity hiring fairs were put on hold or we were not able to attend. So I think we will continue to make those strides every single time we're out recruiting and looking to that. But again, I think we are making significant gains in that progress as we continue to hire our people who are reflecting our students.
Fabulous. Good job.
Thank you.
To you and your team.
Other comments or questions?
Just ask a question again. As you work with Dr. Sutton and others on our reentry plan, do you expect any changes in the number of positions that would be required to be staffed in our schools?
I think that's something we're going to continue to monitor and look at. And again, as we work with Dr. Sutton in Clay County to know what our limitations are, we will monitor that closely and make those adjustments as we get more information. I believe July summer school is going to be the story that kind of guides us through that. And I know that Dr. Hilvet's team has it ready to run, and that will be the tell that tells us the changes we need to make and how we can make those adjustments to have everything prepared for August 24th.
Thank you.
I just appreciated having a blend of both highly qualified and eager staff to move forward into leadership positions, as well as having some individuals from outside the district to bring some fresh ideas and energy. So I really appreciate that balance, and I appreciate you reporting on that. So thank you. You guys have been doing a tremendous job. I know it's been a lot, so thank you so very much, and please convey our appreciation to your team.
I will. Thank you. We have an amazing team doing great work for our students, so I appreciate that, and I'll make sure that I pass that along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item of business is Mr. Fritz discussing our device collection update.
Thank you, Board of Education. As you know, we sent over 20,000 devices home with students and staff in March. And as of the first week in June, happy to report we have the memo I provided earlier last week that Keith worked on. We had at that time 12,400 devices collected. Now we're up to 13,892 as of 3 this afternoon. That leaves us a remaining balance of approximately 3,227 devices left to collect from students, and we are continuing our availability at each one of the high schools. During the meal pickup times, we also have IT staff there ready to accept turned in devices. We'll do that until we get them all back. I think we also have additional plans in the works to send drivers out to pick up devices if needed for those that remain uncollectible after we've had our buildings call on folks and that. So we're still working through it. I think we're making good progress, but that's where we stand today. Any questions? I've turned back over to you.
Dr. Ward.
How does that compare with past experience?
With past experience of collecting devices, that's a good question. Typically, it's a lot lower. Typically, we have the students at our buildings and we can collect them there. This is a unique situation, as we all know, where we're asking kids who have been home for many weeks in a row to then come to school to drop their devices off, whereas in past years they would be readily available at the building. So we are significantly lower than we have been in the past.
Not shocking.
A lot of money on the street right now, as they say.
Other questions or comments? I just wanted to make an observation that I tremendously appreciated, that because so many of our the individuals are students, we've got some mental health opportunities and some cross support through Tri-County and other agencies in the Northland, that we've allowed some of our computers to remain available in the hands of individuals that might use them for access to counselors and all through the summer. And I really appreciate the sensitivity to that and the opportunity for our students to be served in that way additionally. So
Yeah, no, and I would continue on that vein and say that we've also have some devices up to 5,500 devices that are still out for kids enrolled in summer school and things like that. So we still have a lot of work to do to get the devices back, but we are trying to be as flexible as possible so that we're not taking devices out of kids' hands who can use them to continue their education during the summer.
thank you for your report. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yep. 9.03 is a Bond 41 timeline and projects. Dr. Evans and Jeff Bendel.
Thank you, Madam President and Board, and really thank you, North Kansas City community. I echo what President Kauk said earlier. We were here a week ago today watching results, and our community came out strong and supported us. And I've been in the district for a long time, and I think that it goes without saying that, a saying that we've had is promises made, promises kept. I truly believe that our community reflects that in their voting, and we appreciate it. And we now get to talk about Bond 41. I think the first thing we can notice on that is from the Bond 46 to the Bond 41, we had Bond 46 picture was North Kansas City High School, the new image. And this is a really nice transition to talk about our little learners as well to Early Childhood Center. So I did want to talk a little bit about what we are currently doing, because we do have to finish out Bond 46 still. We have 3 projects going. with the Norclay project, the South Campus project, and then the turf replacement, the DAC soccer. Those are the three that we have. Those are the only three that we have left on Bond 46. If you guys have been by North Kansas City High School, you'll see South Campus is gone, and they are continuing to clear debris, but it's well now on its way to being a nice parking lot, a really nice parking lot that extends from the police department all the way to the high school. So we look forward to having our students park in that area between those eyes and those eyes. And so that'll be a nice way for our community down there that has been tolerant of us having to park in different areas during this this adventure of North Kansas City and Bond 46. So now going on to Bond 41, when you pass something as size as we did last Tuesday, folks want to see what we're getting ready to do right away. Some of our major projects, the Early Childhood Center, we know that we have the demo almost completed. Now we're working on the roof. You'll be able to see that construction starting this summer, but there's a lot of projects that maybe aren't as fun as the ones that Jeff are going to talk about here in a little bit, but we needed, deferred maintenance wise, we needed some work done across the district that has been deferred for a lot of years. And so as you can see, we have a lot of bond asphalt projects going on. We have roofs, and with COVID-19, there was no silver lining, but if there was, we were able to get into buildings and get onto some roofs once the decision was made that we weren't going to bring staff and students back. We're already on Maple Park's roof. We were already on Antioch's roof and getting some work done. Clardy will start on this week or next. And so we have some roofs getting done as well. But there are some fun ones too that we're doing this summer. Playground replacements. You see Chapel Hill topping and Shoto. We'll get those playgrounds done this summer. And so, but that's not only, I also wanted to update Rob McLeese and his team have done a great job of identifying throughout the entire district doors that need replaced. Hardened doors, all the research talks about, is one of the ways, if there are intruders or if there are things in our building that we don't want. One of the things that we had to that he identified with his staff is we need to replace a lot of doors across the district. So we continue to do that. We did, I think, Shotos tonight that the board approved, but we will continue that process, and we have major strides that and when Rob McLeese comes to visit with you later on, he'll talk about the progress we've made district-wide on the doors. So it's amazing the work we've been doing and his team, but we continue that through the summer, as well as there's also some asphalt projects that are already in motion with Mark Gravitz and his team. A lot of asphalt going out this summer. Like I said, not as fun as what Jeff's going to talk about, but work that needs to be done for the safety and the benefit of our district. Timeline, I wanted to add kind of a timeline so the board and our community could see. It's really watered down to basically the design process, the construction process, and the move-in. That's what you'll see recognized here on all the 41 projects. With this, you'll see one thing I wanted to point out, Early Childhood Center, it says the move-in is next summer. Do not worry, we are still on schedule for that. That is the full move-in. Will be next summer. We will be ready to go for the Pleasant Valley project to move in January 1st. But the full move-in is next summer. So I wanted to point that out. The other thing I wanted to point out before turning it over to Matthew is the exciting times that we're going to have this fall. We have 3 major breaking grounds going on, and so we'll work with Tammy's team and put that with the high schools for Staley, Oak Park, and Winnetonka, and do some groundbreakings this fall. Well, we hope to do some groundbreaking this fall, depending on what we can and can't are allowed to do. But that is in October. We'll start seeing some movement, which allows our teams and our kids to still use the fields and for the fall, and so that worked out nicely time-wise to still be open then next summer for move-in at Winnetonka and Oak Park. And lastly, before I turn it over to Matt, we are aggressive in our timeline. We have figured out with our bond and our issuance and working with Jeff and Matt that over $100 million will be bid out by December of this year of the 155. So we are going aggressively, smartly, but we do understand as a team the importance of promises made and promises kept, and we will. That is our mission to meet the equity issues that we talked about, as well as the growth issues that we talked about. And we understand that that's what the community expects, and we're going to get it done. So with that, Matt.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. What I wanted to share with everyone tonight is kind of the financing timeline, if you will. There it is up on the screen. So essentially, as you all know, we have kind of a delayed process. There's a certain process to issuing these bonds. One of the things that the main thing that we have to get scheduled and done that is more of a forecasted date is the bond rating conference call. We have to set those up with Moody's in order to get our bonds rated. So that is the one item that is, it's on here as June 30. That's as long as Moody's is okay with it, and we have the time as well. So we will be sure to make our time. I'm working with Piper Sandler is our municipal advisor. Gilmore and Bell is our bond counsel. And they're both helping us through this process, through the legal side and the financing side. At this point in time, one of the big decisions on the table is whether we issue all 155 million in bonds at once, or if we stage it in a couple different issuances. Part of the decision-making process with doing that is if we issue it all at once, we save on our financing fees, but we also pay interest cost on the entire 155 million. So we have to find that right balance of our cash flow needs, the true interest cost of the issuances, and those things will be worked out here in June and July timeframe. And we've scheduled our competitive sale tentatively again for July 28th, which allows us to then ratify those sales through the board meeting on that day. Again, like Dr. Evans mentioned, this is an aggressive timeline. We hope to hit these dates, but we may, from time to time, run into some things that slow us down. And so, again, while this is aggressive, this is our earliest issuance. It may get pushed a little, but we'll see how things go and how the market looks for our timing. And with that, I'm going to let Jeff talk about the fun stuff.
All right, thanks. So when I came into work last Wednesday morning, the first thing someone said to me was, well, now you better get busy. And so I'm hoping as we go through here, you'll see we've been busy. There's been a lot of people putting in a lot of work on this, and I've been really super excited to show you guys these images. We've just been waiting to pass this thing, so I hope you guys are as excited as I am about this. I'm going to start with this early childhood center. So this building is massive. It is about the size of one of our middle schools, except our middle schools a lot of times are multi-level. This is all on one level, so you can see all four corners inside that building. So it's very big. So one of our challenges is how do we break this building down to where it's feels like a better size to these little kids that are going to be in this building. And so that's what this is kind of showing you. This is kind of a funky picture, but I got my laser pointer here. I'm trying not to put Peggy's eye out. So this is over here. This is the existing Price Chopper entrance, and this is going to be the same entrance into this early childhood center. And so you'll come in, and this is the administrative area right in here. All these other funky shapes and colors. This is a way that we're going to have different areas depicted by different colors. And those colors actually match up. This is called it's biophilic. It's kind of a biophilic theme, which means it's based off of nature. So each of these different colors here they represent a different aspect of nature that these little kids might see in their own backyard. And so it breaks it up, this big space, into smaller neighborhoods or smaller pods. For instance, the green pod has a tree theme. And you see that big tree back there, that's a column. We can't move the column. And so the column becomes a tree. And so the canopy of the tree, those are acoustical panels, which will help reduce the sound in this area. This is the purple pod. It has a butterfly theme, and you might note that some of these corridors. This is a corridor here. It doesn't feel like a corridor because you walk through a portal into this area, and this portal has the shape of a butterfly, and so this makes it look like one big area back here where all these different classrooms are, and so these acoustical panels are in the shapes of butterflies. The blue pod is raindrops or water, and so you can see those acoustical panels. Oops, get a little carried away. Those acoustical panels are in the shape of raindrops. Even the little stools there look like little drops of rain there. And this portal, you can see, looks like maybe was a drop in a puddle or something that you're walking through. Orange pod. Orange is a sun. That portal is a shape of like a sunset or sunrise. We're going to see if we can't maybe put some little rays on those suns coming out of the sky. But that one's kind of fun. This one is actually, that's kind of my favorite. The yellow one is the bumblebee pod. And so those acoustical elements there are in the shape of honeycomb. For the bumblebee. This is the pink pod for flowers, and so you can see sort of the flower shapes hanging from the ceiling there. So one of the questions we get asked a lot are how we're going to handle the playgrounds, and so I wanted to show you what we're going to do about that. Those playgrounds. This is going to have 3 different playgrounds, and they are being built in the parking lot area in front of the building, but you can see that it doesn't look like a parking lot. The way that whole parking lot is going to be redone. There'll be a separate bus loop and parent drop off, and I have a little bit closer view there, so you can kind of see there'll be fencing all around that playground. Some big rocks, some landscaping to put a buffer between those playground areas and the parking. So it really doesn't feel like the parking lot that it is today. It'll be some great places for those kids to play. So next I want to talk about a project for some older kids, Oak Park. So at Oak Park High School, we are putting on an addition. This will be a new entry into the building, and this is on the student parking side. This is where most people come into Oak Park to go to basketball games and different events there. And this is the rest of that addition. Right now, that's all open. Right now, that's green grass. Right in here, this is the tennis court. This is where the tennis courts begin. So we'll have a new front entrance there. That new front entrance will have. We're going to redo the command center. We did sort of a makeshift command center when we did the others a couple of years ago, knowing that we would redo it when we did this front entry. And then this addition is a weight room, locker rooms, and some coaches' offices there. We're also master planning for a future bond issue where we would put a performing arts center out here, and that would be would have to relocate one of those tennis courts, but then it would also go up 2-story and be on top of this as well. So this would be the new entrance into that performing arts center as well when we get there. So this is an overall site plan of Oak Park. So this is that big student parking area, and right here is that new front entry and that infill there that we are doing. And this is also showing the football field. And with that football field, we're doing an upgrade of the stadium, and we'll put in stands, press box, thank you. And then there'll be 2 concession stands at this one. So most people will come in, the home side will come in on this side. There'll be ticketing, concessions, restrooms on this side. And at this one, I just want to remind you on the south side, we are doing another visitors concession stand, restroom, pavilion. And that's we're doing that in a partnership with Gladstone Parks and Rec. This is also Gladstone's entrance into Oak Grove Park for when they have events at their amphitheater. They have parking down here. We're going to mirror and put more parking in there. And so they are contributing funds to this, so it'll be a nice partnership with them. And this is sort of what that might look like. This would be the main pavilion where you would come in and there'd be ticketing, and then you'd go through this portal into the stadium area. And on the south side, you'd come in from here, from the parking, get tickets, restrooms, whatever. You'd go out this gate to go to the park, or you'd go out on that side to go to the stadium. We're also going to, while we're there, address the entrance off of 79th Street, and try to make that one match more the one in back. So we have similar architectural language on both sides of the building. This is Winnetonka, a site plan of Winnetonka. Again, they will also have a stadium upgrade with seating and a press box there, and we won't have a visitor's entrance down there. Everyone will come in together through that one pavilion. Sort of the cool thing about the Winnetonka Pavilion is when you come out of the stadium, when you walk through that little canopy, you have a direct line of vision to that new entrance into Winnetonka. So that's going to be a pretty cool view as you come back out. And this is what that might look like. Also at Winnetonka, we're going to do some work on their media center. Their media center needs a little bit of updating. And so we're going to upgrade the lighting, the carpeting, and I believe this is on the east end of the library. We're putting in a couple of collaboration rooms there back in this area for could be some media center instruction. It could be just a student group that wants to work there. It could be a classroom held in there. One of the cool things about that is that these will have these two areas will have garage doors that open up, and then that could be one large area back in there for larger meetings. We're also going to address some ADA issues that they have in that media center. Staley is another area that another school we're looking at. When we opened Staley, 11 years ago, we designed it for I think it was about 1,600 students, And right now, I think they are 1,800 students or something like that. And so they are over capacity what it was designed for. So this is the academic edition, and so that the gray area here, that's where the existing building ends right there, and then the pond or lake is out on this end, and so this is first level, second level. You can see we're adding about 15 new rooms there of actual classrooms. And we're adding all these little pinkish areas in there with the dashes around them. Those are student collaboration areas where students can gather in small groups and work on projects. And there'll be some more restrooms added on this end as well. So this is what that might look like on that east end. As you can see, we are, this is Shoal Creek Parkway here. So we're keeping the rhythm of those window fins coming down here and repeating that colonnade that's around the front of the building on this end. This also has a couple of outdoor classrooms that might look something like that would give them easy access to that lake area. Now Staley will also have a gymnasium addition. This will get all of the high school's 3 gyms. So the code is dictating how big this addition needs to be, because it will have to be built as a high wind shelter, as a safe space in this building. And so the gymnasium is that addition gives us a little bit extra room to do something else in there. And so their batting cages will actually move over to this area as well to take up the rest of the space in that addition. But that will provide a high wind shelter for Staley as well. We've also started work on the Davidson and Maplewood replacement projects. This is Davidson. So right now, so this is Highland, where you would enter in to go to Davidson, and you can sort of see faintly back here where I'm pointing here where the existing school is. So the new school will be back behind that new school. So we plan to build that one while school is still in session. And so those students will stay there. This gives us a chance to separate the parking from the parents from the buses, and also pushing that parking lot back allows us to stack a lot more parent cars there and get them off of the street, off of Highland, which is a big win there. And I wanted to point out this little area right here that says PV. That is, we're trying to master plan an area for photovoltaic field. These 2 new elementaries are being built as net zero ready. And so that's an area that we're sort of targeting for maybe a future solar array. And here's another view of what that might look like. Capacity, it's being built as a 5-section school. So someone help me out on how many students. Is that like 700 some students? Roughly.
350.
So this is Maplewood. So right now, this street, I believe it's called Fremont. Does that sound right? Where you would drive in and then you keep on going across that road, and you can kind of see where that existing Maplewood is right now. Maple Park is down here, and then there's a park over here. So this school is also back behind there and sort of on that It's sort of a flat area back between Maplewood and Maple Park. Again, we would leave students in this building while we're building the other building the new school. And actually, this design has changed a little bit since we've put this slide together. Right now, it's showing the parent drop off here and a bus loop here. We're actually moving that bus loop up to roughly this area in here. And again, you can see we have master planned a solar array location right there. This one is it's also going to be the prototype school. It's going to be a very different version of that because because of the way the site works, we're going to have just one entrance into that. You might know it, Rising Hill and Northview. You can kind of come in from two different sides. This one, everyone will come in from that one side. And there's sort of another view of what that might look like. One more project I wanted to highlight. So we have about 54 buildings in the district. About 35 of those are schools. And pretty much all of those buildings that are normally occupied have a safe and secure entrance. There's, I believe, just one that doesn't. And that's the Cummings Center across the parking lot from here. And so that's a project that we would like to add a safe and secure entrance to. And so right now, here's a plan of that. That's a big vestibule you would come in. Right now, Joey sits up in this area. We want to kind of reconfigure that a little bit to where we would like to put two people normally seated up there and facing is that south maybe. By moving that gives a better view out of that vestibule, so she can see who's approaching. And then on that inner door, we want to put a card reader there, so visitors will actually, if they have their card, they have access, they can just badge in. If not, they'll need to be buzzed in by Joey or whoever is working that desk. And then additionally, there'll be another set of doors back here that you would also need to be buzzed back into, or you could use a card reader to get back in that area as well. That provides sort of a safe and secure area here in the front. And then we also have a way for the two people working at the reception desk, sort of a back door for them to get out in case they need to get out quickly there. I have an image. This is what it would look like as you come in from that vestibule with that front desk turned and that mail area reconfigured. And then these would be the doors back into the corridor that would take you into the building.
Conference room door will be locked at all times?
Yeah, so that conference room door currently is on up in this area, and we're going to relocate that down here, and that will be accessed with a card reader, so that will kind of keep that area secure. And then here's another area, another view of that. If you are coming from inside the building from that new door, and we're going to be heading out of the building, heading towards the vestibule. This is sort of what that view might look like. So with that, Madam President, I'll turn it back over to you for any questions that you or the board may have.
All right. Who has questions?
I don't really have any questions, but this is exciting. I mean, to actually see somewhat final drawings on paper, getting there and knowing that this is where we're putting the money. This is exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that. I really love the early childhood, the different themes and whatever. It's like if a child's not happy in that environment, well, there's probably something wrong with that child.
questions? No questions, Mr. Harrell?
No questions, just again, some comments. Again, I really appreciate the presentation as far as the kind of the design. Obviously, we've got the timeline in here, talked about the financing of it, and then bringing it all together. Again, I know that you showed the stadium, so the intent, based on the timeline, again, is that both Oak Park and Winnetonka's stadiums would actually open a year from now for this upcoming school year, the 21-22 school year, right?
Correct.
And again, that's progress for our community, so thank you very much.
Mr. Stone? You have no questions?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, all right. I just had a question on the Oak Park diagram and the back entrance. Is there any drop-off area at all allowed for, or is that just such a rough drawing? You're still working through some of that?
Like a parent drop off.
Yeah, to the back entrance area. It looked like it was just adjacent to parking, and then I was thinking with a future addition of another bond, we might have, you know, an auditorium or something. But is there any provision for drop off in the back?
So here's that entrance.
Mm-hmm.
That the parking lot comes right up through here. This will have bollards across there, removable bollards where emergency vehicles could get back in there. But that could be a drop-off area for parents.
I have a feeling.
It is one way. It will be one way. They bring traffic in off the parkway there, and they bring it. The kids come in. At least when I'm there, they get dropped off right by the dumpsters, and then they go out across the tennis courts and back out. So they make a big loop. So I think naturally they have one, but certainly we'll look at below and see if there's anything we can do to improve it. The tennis courts are that kind of nice barrier for us to get them to swing through. But you're right, as we start to think about fine arts centers and additional activities in the back end of this building, we're going to need to make sure that's clean.
We are losing some parking.
I wondered about that.
Space, so we have to add some
Way back.
Parking lot.
Yeah, and that parking lot stays pretty full
Yeah, it
during
does.
student
And
hours
it's-
and all.
Park's growing for sure, but yeah, we lost some at the front end. We have to add some at the back.
And during activities that utilize the football field, there'll be additional parking in the park that we're working with Gladstone on. So like theater in the park, that area where people park, they're going to allow us to utilize that as well.
And so the command center is going to be at this back entrance like it is now, and it'll be just expanded and improved in terms of, it's good for visibility now, it's safe, but just provide more space as with the other high schools.
Yeah, that was we kind of put it in a closet.
Yes.
And so it's a little bit rough. It's nice, but this will be designed to be a command center. It'll be more similar to Winnetonka's command center.
And so the entrance on the other side of the building specifically will be very few parking places and maybe just visitors for very short visits perhaps, or
Yeah, so
How does
this
that
building
look?
is kind of tricky because I've always considered that the front of the building, and administration is up here. This in the back seems to be really that activity entrance, and this is where most of the people come in, and so that front will still get a lot of visitors come in and out there, but with administration being right there, it's just a different situation there because they're right there to help whoever's coming in and out, I guess.
and so is there's secure entrance there, and
Yeah.
they have to be locked,
Yeah, the
released,
vestibule
the doors
doors
need to be locked in. Yeah,
Until you're buzzed through
Yeah.
to the office.
Yeah.
that's-
So will the buses still be in the front?
Yes. Okay. All right. And then I just had one other question around the Staley project because just in looking at Staley in general, and are there still lockers in the main area, or were those removed at some point?
So good question. When we redid North Kansas City, we took all the lockers out. Staley, they had all of theirs grouped in two sections on the first floor and second floor. And so we actually sent a survey out to the students to see if students are even using those. And we found that a few students use them, but most of them don't. And so we are taking out a lot of those lockers. We're leaving some of them. Actually, we're replacing them. We're putting different lockers in that students could check out for the day. So it's sort of be like at the airport or something. You won't need to use quarters, but the students could check that locker out if they wanted all semester or just for the week or the day to use those lockers. The rest of them are going away, and that's going to allow us to expand the seating area in the cafeteria. That allows us to bump out the serving area in the cafeteria because that's sort of a pinch point. And then upstairs, that's allowing us to put in a lot more student collaboration areas up there. So we're recapturing a lot of that square footage.
We will be freshening then some of the rest of the building up that will all flow.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Stone?
A question came to mind. When I used to sit there and wandered around since I've been on the board, the least used space to me in that building was there's a big teacher space up on the second floor. Or I don't know what you call the room, but
Teacher collaboration area.
I think I've seen one teacher in there in 6 years I've wandered around.
As Staley's continued to grow, we've taken those over and made them classrooms. I don't know if they still have any or not, but we went in and put walls up between them and made them 2 classrooms.
Thank you.
Probably an unfair question, but do we have any idea, can we tell yet what fall enrollment's going to look like? I mean, with all the moving parts, it's a really squirrely question. I understand it, but
Yeah, it's completely unfair.
okay, good.
The housing market is continuing to stay strong in the North Lane. That's about the best indicator we have. Rochelle's working on some survey data from our parents talking about their comfort level about sending kids back. If you're watching the Missouri news, Columbia just announced today that they're going to offer 2 different opportunities for kids, all online, all in person. And they're asking parents to make that choice. Chad and the rest of cabinet is working hard on our reentry plan. We're going to start getting some of those numbers very soon. We're going to have to in order for Jenny to staff it the way we need it to be staffed as we roll in. So that is the $1 million question, if you would, right now. How we're going to manage that. But every real estate agent I talk to says the housing market in the North Lane remains strong. It took a little bit of a dip, but it was a complete V. It came straight back as things started to open up again.
Good.
Other questions?
I have a
Yes.
comment.
Mhm.
I just, you said that you hope that we're excited, and I am over the moon excited to be a part of this during this time because this is amazing. And one, early childhood center. When I tell people, where that's at, I still say the old Walmart. I mean, because that's how, I used to walk there when I was a kid, so, where the Dollar Theater was. So that, for North Kansas City to be making that corner something is amazing and just so great. Oak Park, doing something with that back corner, that's going to be so great. I've spent so much time waiting for cars in that area. And also hearing that about the lockers at Staley, just recently, when we were going to picking up stuff, and I told Claire, I said, don't you have stuff in your locker? She's like, Mom, I never even used my locker. I don't have a locker. And I was like, oh, well, who doesn't have a locker? So that's good to hear that maybe she's not the only person not using a locker. But yeah, this is just so great. I'm so excited.
I was made aware, 3 or 4 days ago, that Salvation Army's completely out now, and they're up at the Berry Road location. So that one, they completely emptied out their stores, so we don't have neighbors. So it looks like our construction company called because they were working on the roof and went over to talk to them in case leaks was starting to come through, and they said they were gone anyway. So.
Are we looking at that property?
We'll wait and see what happens. We're following the advice of our broker. Let it sit empty for a while and see where we go from there.
Also, we've already spent $155 million.
That says we're broke. Yeah.
There are more bonds to come.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Just an amazing opportunity so quickly after the election. Like you said, you've been very, very busy, and we appreciate that. And Matt, we'll look forward to what you discover here in the next few weeks on the bonds. That'll be so critical in terms of allowing us to do the work going forward. Is there anything else you wanted to add with that, or?
No, I just wanted to. Realized I was off camera and I didn't want to be the voice from above. If you had more questions, I'm ready and able to answer.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Evans, too. Really appreciate it. So we'll start seeing graphs at some point or the tables that start shifting those dollars, and the big tall ones of those that are unencumbered, and then they'll start shifting again, as we've seen with 46. So thank you. All right. At this point, there's just one other item I wanted to address this evening. This has been just a very tumultuous time across our city, and the last week, the district presented an equity statement that we really felt was impactful, and we wanted to, as a board, stand together with the efforts in the community around restorative opportunities in the community around civil rights and the discussion. Let me make an announcement, first of all, that on Thursday, Gateway and Eastgate are hosting restorative circles for the community to come together as a positive platform to look at change and to discuss change. And they'll be in small groups of individuals, 12 to 15, with a facilitator. And we invite the public or anyone interested in this to go on to the homepage of our website. And if you scroll down, you will see the opportunity to sign up for that. Again, it's 4 to 6, and we invite anyone interested in signing up for that opportunity for dialogue. Additionally, I wanted to take a minute to read our equity statement aloud. And it has been suggested then we close with a moment of silence and reflection. So before I read that, I want to ask if there anything else from the board's vantage point that you want to present or ask about this evening? Or from you, Dr. Clemens, is there anything else that you would like to say?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Then if I might proceed. This is the equity statement from the district, North Kansas City. North Kansas City Schools stands with our community, especially our students, families, and staff of color, against any and all forms of injustice, including racial injustice and acts of violence. As a learning community dedicated to serving as champions for all students, we have been deeply impacted by the tragic killings of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and others. We will continue to do the work of uprooting and addressing the people, policies, and practices that have perpetuated systemic racism and other forms of oppression. Our students are living and learning during this time of unrest, and we want to continue to do our part in promoting and creating positive transformations. By cultivating empathy and deep understanding, we are uniquely positioned to build bridges, support healing, and championing meaningful and lasting change. We will use our powerful platform as educators to build a community of critical thinkers who value and practice racial equity. Much work lies ahead for our school district, our board, and our society. This isn't the type of work that is ever complete. There won't be a point at which we've arrived. North Kansas City Schools, with the support of this Board of Education, remains committed to the challenges we may encounter in making the world a better place for all the kids that we send out and for all. Please join me in a minute of silence. I thank you for joining us tonight. Be safe.